Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being for taking the time today and joining us in this webinar. We are waiting for a couple of more minutes. We see attendees coming in, so we'll wait another couple of minutes before starting with the webinar. Just some housekeeping. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to just keep writing your questions in the Q&A session. We'll dedicate the last 10 to 15 minutes of the webinar to the Q&A session. So please just share your questions at any time. See you in a couple of minutes. Shabir, while we wait for people to join and to actually get started with the webinar, last time we spoke, I think a couple of weeks ago, you told me that in Dubai it was 50 Celsius degrees. Is that still the case, or did it get any better?
Yep, it is getting better now, but still it's on high 40s. Till the summer is on us.
Okay.
Yeah. And the main part is the humidity, that really kills people.
Yeah.
But it's part of the life over here. It is people are used to this weather. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's been a crazy warm here in Denmark for the last couple of weeks, and by crazy warm I mean 25 to 27 degrees, and and now I think everything is going back to normality. So it's cloudy today. But yeah, I don't think that Denmark, for example, has ever seen anything above 30 degrees in its history.
But autumn is around the corner, so hang in there.
Yeah. Autumn year starts at the end of August, so we're almost ready.
Let's hope things go smooth now.
Yeah. Okay,
we see people joining in.
Yeah, more and more people coming in, so maybe we can wait another just couple of minutes. And then we can get started. And maybe the people who have just joined, maybe you want to write in the chat session where you guys are connecting from. We usually have attendees from Europe, Middle East, Asia. It's always Africa. It's always very interesting to see where people join from. And if you want, I think it will also be very interesting, and this is again to the attendees, if you want to share even privately, what is that you're looking for from this webinar? What is the expected takeaway that you hope to bring home today? That would definitely be interesting for us also to adapt the presentation based on what you guys are expecting to learn.
Yeah, I would welcome all the attendees to put their thoughts in the chat, so that will help us to understand what is your takeaway and get back to you more strongly.
Okay, Shabir, shall we start? And then maybe people will still be joining throughout the whole webinar, but maybe we should get started.
Yep, let's start. Yep.
Okay, so thank you everyone once again to join us in this webinar that is very much around why HR leaders should obsess over employee experience. Just a quick note on the speakers and the agenda before we get into the core of the webinar. My name is Francesco Stasi. I'm the CEO and founder at Bot Supply. At Bot Supply, we've been focusing over the last 4 years on building chatbots for enterprises. We've been working with more than 80 customers, covering somehow the whole world. And we are very much focused on the technology part of building a chatbot. So an easy to use interface that everyone can use without any kind of coding skill required, and the natural language processing capabilities. We also cover the Arabic language. Together with me today, Shabir Bora from Evosys. Bot Supply and Evosys are working on a global scale together to deliver chatbots to some of the biggest enterprises in the world. So Shabir, maybe you also want to introduce yourself and work at Evosys.
Thank you, Francisco, for introducing me. So, hi, this is Shabir. I'm part of Evosys from last 8 years now. My role at Evosys is innovation, where I lead the innovation team in the EMEA region. My role is primarily to enable my customers to, start the innovation journey and start helping them to innovate in their way of business, innovate how they deal with their employees, innovate how they deal with the customers, and in the end, resulting into a business benefit for them. So, as an Evosys, we are a Mastech company. We are part of Oracle partner team. We are Oracle partners from last 14 years. We specialize in implementation of Oracle applications as well as Oracle technology solutions around digital assistance, automation, and so on. So that's more or less about Evosys. We are spread across 30 countries. We're a global company. We have presence we started our journey from Middle East 14 years ago, and now we are spread across around 30 countries globally with around 1,500 consultants working for us across the globe. So that was a bit about Evosys. Over to you, Francisco.
Awesome. I'll share something about the agenda for today. What kind of topics we're gonna cover. I think we already gone through the welcome piece. The first topic that we're gonna cover is about employee experience, what it is and why it is relevant. We're gonna then move on to chatbots and how chatbots can help, how chatbots help enterprises providing a better employee experience. Some ROI from other enterprises, so why chatbots matter to you. We're going to cover a little bit also how easy it is to actually get started. Many people think about chatbots as something that takes months and years to develop and deploy. It can actually take as little as 1 week. And then we have a giveaway because for those who are actually going to take a screenshot throughout the webinar, throughout the presentation, and we'll post it on LinkedIn and tag both BotSupply and Evosys, we'll actually pick two of you for a free pilot. So this is a bit of the agenda. We're also going to have some polls, just to make the session a bit more interactive and learn more about the HR world that you live in. So I think that we're gonna go with the first poll now. Here we go. And this is very much about whether employee experience has an effect on the productivity, both yours and of your team. A few more seconds. I see people voting. Let's give it 5 more seconds and then we can move on. Okay, and it seems like everyone agrees on the importance of employee experience to actually augment the productivity of your teams. So 100%. This is the result. A pretty strong result. Those who voted 100% strongly agree. You guys are actually very correct. Because what we have seen, and these numbers come from studies from Accenture and some of the big consultancies, what we see is that employee experience is a key factor for companies out there in the world to have a competitive advantage. More and more, education also through free online courses is spreading on a global scale. Everyone has access to good education one way or the other, and so the pool of talented people is growing dramatically all over the world. So those companies who can attract the majority of these talented employees are the ones who actually win. And the ones who actually win in providing a good employee experience, what we see is that they have 122% higher performances compared to Standard & Poor's 500 who don't have a great experience. And while we look at customer experience as the battleground for loyalty, and we're talking about customer loyalty, we look at employee experience to boost workforce engagement, productivity, and retention. To the point that 21%, to the point that companies who are able to create a good working environment, a good working space, have 21% higher profitability compared to those who have a poor engagement. Based on these couple of numbers, how can technology, how can chatbots actually help you delivering better employee experience? This is something that we're going to have a look at in the next section of the presentation. I think we're going to have another poll right now before we move on to introducing what chatbots are and how they're helping enterprises to provide better employee experience. And so if you have knowledge on digital assistants and chatbots already, based on the context of the employee experience that we are discussing today, maybe you have an idea of how chatbots can actually help you providing a better employee experience. Employee interaction, self-service. 88% of you mentioned that this is where chatbots can actually provide the most value. Interesting to hear that many of you already know what chatbots are. So I'm going to go through the next 3-4 slides in a slightly quicker way. Then I would guess that all of you know that both customers but also your employees, they want answers now. Nobody's keen to send you an email and wait 1, 2, 3, 4 days to actually get an answer to very simple queries like I don't know, show me my payroll for December 2018, right? While employees and customers don't want to wait a long time to get an answer from you as a brand, for you as a company, there are also a lot of repercussions and in terms of managing these big amounts of repetitive queries that you get from your employees. On average, what we see is that an IT support or an HR support or customer service support requests cost around €5 each. So whenever someone is sending you an email, you as a company are spending or investing or wasting €5 to actually get that question answered. And so that means that the more customers, the more employees you have, the more people you need to actually get these questions answered. But can you actually manage to scale your support team, HR support team, by hiring more people? What we see also due to COVID is that that is going to be more and more difficult in the future. And so that's where chatbots actually come in and provide a lot of value, because chatbots are there 24/7. They provide real-time responses. They can be omni-channel, so you can integrate them with your Slack, Microsoft Teams, Oracle HCM, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, wherever your people are, you can actually have a chatbot. And a chatbot can actually take, it can answer thousands of requests at the same time without needing, to be paired with another chatbot, because the amount of queries that it can handle is basically endless. And when we look at the HR application of chatbots, what we see Before going into a demo where Shabir is going to show us a couple of videos, here just a couple of use cases where we see chatbots providing a lot of value in automating very repetitive and very simple and low added value tasks like absences, pay slips, onboarding, recruiting, and of course each and every of you will have some specific use cases that need to be automated by a chatbot. But these are, what we see being the most common use cases. Shabir, we have another poll before we actually show a couple of demos, and the poll right now is how you look at chatbots as a tool to improve employee experience. So really looking forward to see what people are gonna select in this poll. Ease of access to information, less training of applications, and reduce employee workload. Okay, Shabir, maybe you wanna guide us through a couple of demos that we have.
Yeah. Right. So we had one use case with one of our customers in Middle East where the management had quite a challenging time on getting data on their fingertips. So this was a use case for a finance manager, a CFO, where he wanted to have a real-time information on how his company is performing. So the group of finance managers got together with the CFO and they discuss about the company performance. So they were finding it very cumbersome to get details out of a traditional web UI. So we built a chatbot for them, and this chatbot was able to understand financial terms and KPIs, numbers, and so on. They can, as you see in the video, if they were able to chatbot was able to understand on what user is trying to say, what kind of KPI from financial point of view they are looking at, and the chatbot gave them an option. Let's say because this customer was a big conglomerate and they have multiple line of businesses, multiple group of entities working within them, so they can get their entire financial reporting through a chatbot in a conversational way. They can select the entities, they can get the data as an output in form of a graph and charts. So that will help them to understand very quickly on how the company is performing, what are the KPIs. They can even zoom in on those charts and graphs. They can share those details, as a report to any different customers or different users internally to get their feedback on it. So this chatbot really created a big impact on the customer experience, right? The internal employee experience, where the management was able to get this report in a very quick time and very short time. And apart from a conversational chat, we also enable this chatbot on Siri, so they can get all this data through voice. Let's say while drinking a coffee at a coffee shop, just while having coffee, they can find out what is the financial performance of the organization. So there was the one use case that we have implemented.
It's awesome, right? How technology actually helps you get in all of this information about your business. Just talking to
yeah.
So
we have this resonates. Yeah. So this resonates with the poll that the people and the audiences has responded. The ease of access to the information. So the chatbot demo, that we showed, that was one of the use case where it was an ease of access to the information, the ease of access to the financial information, where they can get that information from the backend systems very quickly rather than going to a different navigations and so on. So I'll take you to another demo where it's a good use case of an HR. So imagine you have thousands of employees asking you for a certain FAQs or queries, and most of the employees most commonly use case is the applying for a leave, right? So that's what they want to do it. Let's say if they suddenly plan for something and they have to apply for a leave, they have to log in an application and do it. So in this demo, we can show that they can use WhatsApp, which is used by almost everyone nowadays in the world, right? So they can use WhatsApp to log into their backend system, communicate, do the transaction. They can find out what is the leave balance they have. They can find out, they can apply for a leave. Let's say in this case, they are applying for a leave for a business travel, right? They suddenly got a business meeting and they want to apply for that leave. And they can do that transition in a conversational way. They can ask about what kind of leave they want to apply, what will start time, end time, and so on. And this way, it's easier for an end user to do the transaction in their HR application and get the transaction done without having to log in the system, right through a WhatsApp number. And this WhatsApp again is a very secure way, we give them a 2-layer of security where they have a OTP-based mechanism, and they have a credential-based mechanism where they can log into the Fusion using the same Fusion credentials. So they can even check the leave balances, they can apply for another leave, and so on. So this experience on WhatsApp, it changes the game. It changes the way how easily the information of your Fusion, your HCM, your HR system is available to your employees on their WhatsApp numbers, and this can help your employees to have a good experience. The kind of easy way of accessing all the information and so on. So this was about the HCM demo that we wanted to show about.
And what we see here, Shabir, is an English demo, but of course we also provide support for Arabic language. So if your people internally speak Arabic, then we can definitely accommodate that need with our Arabic NLP available out of the box in our offering.
Right. So as a platform, we do support more than around 27 languages, right? So that really helps, to make it a single chatbot having multiple languages, and that can address to all different types of employees that you might have.
Okay, so we're gonna get we're slowly getting towards the end of the presentation, so we can leave the last 10 minutes for Q&A. We might actually have before getting into why this all matters to you, what are the KPIs and the ROI that you can unlock with chatbots. We might have an additional poll that we can take together before moving into the next section, which is very much about are you already using chatbots in your organization, or have you ever done any even just a pilot to try this technology out and check the business benefits that it can bring to you.
Well, we're getting interesting response, Francisco. Good to share that.
Yeah, really curious to see the final result.
A couple of more seconds.
Yeah, exactly. No. Okay.
There we go.
So 10% yes, 89% no. So maybe you don't want to share, publicly.
So out of the audiences that we have, almost 89% are not using chatbot as of today, and only just 11% of them are using a chatbot or might have done a kind of a pilot project for the chatbot.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. Most of the audiences that we have are
interesting results. Let's see if the next couple of slides actually help you understand the value that this solution can bring to your business, because we have customers, and this is an example of an HR solution with one of our customers in Iceland, where within a couple of months they've been able to automate 65% of the most common HR requests. I will also show you a couple of slides on how chatbots are relevant, yes, to HR, but not just about HR, because as we mentioned, they can be used for a lot of different use cases. Here we have a case by an Oracle customer, University of Adelaide, where they also were able to automate almost 50% of the incoming for inquiries during peak hours. So if you can just imagine maybe a company or a university receiving 5,000 calls a day, 10,000 calls a day, and the fact that you can automate 50% of them, then we're talking about a pretty strong, a pretty interesting business ROI. here we have a case with one of our customers where chatbots were actually able to handle 75% of queries. So here we're talking about almost full automation of any incoming request from your customers or your employees. Shabir, are you here with us again?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, had some issues with the mic. Am I audible now?
Yep. I can hear you. Yes. And I was just showing a couple of use cases, and maybe you also quickly wanna introduce what you have done with Fawaz in Saudi.
Yeah. So for Fawaz Care, we implemented the chatbot for finance use case for employee reporting. The demo that we saw was related to Fawaz Care, where they wanted to have, as I said, they had a multi-dimensional reporting layer, and they were not very happy to use it on the front end, and they wanted to use, most of the users were iPhone native users, and so they wanted a communicational way of getting reporting. They wanted to use their voice and so on, and getting this reporting on the real time from a CD app, let's say an iPhone or a mobile application, was pretty challenging to build that. So we came up with an innovative way of doing modification within CDs and iPhone app, where we had a single bot for all management requirement regarding, they can see data in tabular format, they can see data right as a value or even graph, and they can zoom in and share those graphs and reports to another managers or other department holders. So we had this innovation implemented at Fawaz Care, which is one of the biggest conglomerate in Saudi Arabia, having more than 15,000 employees and more than around 20 line of businesses. So that was about the use case of Fawaz Care that we did.
Awesome. I wanted to show also some other use cases where chatbots can actually be used apart from HR. As always, between one section and the other, we're going to have a quick poll to make this session as interactive as possible. So I think we're going to start with a poll, which is very much about whether it could be interesting for the attendees to hear more about how can we actually get started with a free FAQ chatbot. And the reason why we mention a free FAQ chatbot is something that I'm going to show you in the next couple of slides. But before getting into that, I want to show you. Okay, that was a very good answer. What I'm gonna show you is some other use cases, because we've been focusing on HR, but just to give you a broader horizon of what chatbots can do for your business. We can also use the chatbots to automate customer service. Of course, that's somehow the most natural application of chatbots up to date, where you can automate the most common customer service requests. You can also use it still for internal use cases, like IT support. How do I reset my password? I cannot get access to a specific software and so on. And also for ERP, as one of the demos shown by Shabir. So the amount of different applications that chatbots can cover is basically endless. Wherever there is a conversation, there is space for a chatbot. And once again, we want to stress how easy it is to actually get started with the chatbot, because if we can look at the 3 steps basically implementation, where step 1 is basically to understand and define what are the questions that you want to automate. So maybe you have a list of the top 10, 20, 30 FAQs that your employees ask all the time, maybe calling you, sending you emails, something that could easily be automated by chatbot. Once you have defined what are the questions and answers that you want to automate, then it's just a matter of going into the system, into our platform, and basically train the AI with this set of questions and answers that you want to automate. Something that really takes in between a couple of hours and a couple of days, depending on the amount of FAQs that you want to automate. And then step 3 is then launching the chatbot and start seeing all of these questions being automated basically from day one. And then we, through a set of reportings, analytics, you can always see what other questions you might actually want to add to the data set so that the chatbot can automate even more. And of course, the more the chatbot is integrated with the backend systems, the more processes it can automate. So if it's integrated with, let's say, your Oracle HCM solution, then questions like, please show me my payroll for January 2020. That's something that the chatbot can go into HCM, find the payroll, and show it back to your employee. So getting started can be really, really simple. Within a week, you can have your first FAQ chatbot up and running. I hope you guys, I hope first of all that the webinar brought some value to you, that you learned something new, and I really also hope that you have taken the time to take a screenshot, tag Bot Supply and Evosys, and hopefully be selected among those people who are going to receive, we're going to be eligible for a free POC. This being said, I think we are somehow done with the presentation, and I would really like to leave the next 5 to 10 minutes to a Q&A session where we can really, hear from you. If there is any question about chatbots, how to get started, use cases, integrations, languages, any kind of topic, we would like to cover it together. So please go into the Q&A session and let us know if there is anything that we can answer. And Shabir, please feel free to add anything that you think maybe I omitted.
Yeah, thank you, Francisco, for this. Really appreciate all the attendees to join, and we'll be very happy to answer all your questions. Please drop in your question in the Q&A section. Most of the organizations, especially after COVID-19, do want to innovate, so start using chatbots for the employee experience, for the customer experience, and also for the suppliers and so on, because this is one of the easiest way, that the experience or ease of information can be shared across to different stakeholders. One single chatbot can improve your end user experience by more than 70%, and this will result in the end, to generate more and more business. It has a direct impact on how your organization is perceived across the organization. So please feel free to add any questions on how we can help you get started, how we can start with a pilot project for you, a free POC, a free assessment, and so on. So feel free to ask questions.
So I received one question though in my private chat asking about whether the chatbot can be integrated with Oracle HCM, and the answer is yes. A chatbot via API can actually be integrated with any kind of HR system you might have in place. So Oracle HCM being both Bot Supply and Evosys and Oracle partners, we that's our focus. So we definitely integrate with Oracle HCM, but if you may use Salesforce, Workday, Genesis, or any other solution, then we definitely integrate with those as well.
Right, and just to add to that, it can also be enabled on multiple channels. It could be on WhatsApp, it could be on mobile app, it could be on your employee portal, and so on. So there is no limit on what chatbot can be integrated with respect to the front end.
Shabir, we have a question about what other processes can we automate regarding HR. You want to take it?
Yeah. So as just said in the presentation, employee self-service being one. Another is the employee recruitment, where we see a lot of candidate screening that can be done through a chatbot. let's say if you're having a job portal and you want to promote your jobs across your to different employee, prospect employees, a chatbot could be easier way of getting their CVs, collecting those CVs, and answering those interview-related FAQs. Right, that could be one. Secondly, is the employee onboarding process, where a guided chatbot workflow can get your employee aligned with your organization. Let's say all the onboarding activities of assigning him a particular email ID, creating his accounts, and so on. That is one of the important use case where most of the HR organization are looking at it. Another would be the employee self-service, which is pretty easy to pick, where your all entire employee self-service regarding right from leave to any other request that they might have to their HR can be covered through in chatbot. So I hope that answers your question, Shakil.
I got another question in private chat regarding Arabic support, whether it also comes with speech recognition, and yes, we support both text-based interactions, so a chatbot speaking in Arabic language, and we also have Arabic speech to text. So if your employees want to interact, for example, with you on WhatsApp, recording an audio message and waiting for a reply from the chatbot, that can also be done. Okay, we have one more question.
Yeah, we're almost time, so we'll take one more question. I think it is from Hatim. In case the question goes, in case we are not using Oracle Cloud, can we implement chatbot without digital assistant? All right, so I'll answer in 2 points, Francisco, but then you can add on to it. So this chatbot, as Francisco mentioned earlier, is not dependent on Oracle Cloud. It could be any platform that you might be using for your HR. It could be Oracle HR, it could be a non-Oracle HR. It doesn't matter. It could be a cloud, it could be on-premise. It doesn't matter. We can integrate with any HR application for your employee experience for chatbot. Secondly, chatbot and digital assistant both are the same thing, but they are more or less same, different terminologies for the same thing. So we can implement that. So Francisco, you want to add to that?
Absolutely. So whether you are an existing Oracle Cloud customers or not, you might be running on Azure, IBM Watson, it doesn't really matter. The beauty of chatbots is that via API, we can basically connect to anything, anywhere. So absolute maximum flexibility in integrating with any kind of backend system.
Right, I hope that answers your question. All right, thanks. Let's wrap it up, Francisco. I think we are almost time. Yeah.
So I want to thank everyone for taking the time today and interact with us with both polls and this Q&A session. I think that someone from Evosys and Bot Supply is going to follow up with a recording of this webinar, so that you can also share it internally and have a look at it together. And in case of any question, then you will have our contact information in case you're interested in discussing how a free FAQ HR chatbot could look like for your organization. This being said, Shabir, thanks a lot for leading this webinar with me. Thanks to all the attendees, and we look forward to be in touch. And have a nice day, everyone.
Have a nice day, everyone. Thank you so much for your time.
Bye.
Thank you, Francisco. Have a nice day.
Thank you.